Scotland needs a plan for a new currency if it wants independence. There needs to be a blueprint for what follows the pound and a transition to the euro. The chances of Scotland becoming independent are increasing day by day. In the 2014 Scottish referendum, around 45% of voters were in favour of independence. Brexit, against which around 60% of Scottish voters voted, is now forcing Scottish voters to choose between staying in the UK and staying in the EU, further shifting public opinion towards independence. Boris Johnson's shambolic EU trade negotiations exacerbate this dilemma. In the face of this pressure, independence sentiment surpassed 50% in 6 polls conducted this year, 58% in the last. However, if you think the UK's negotiations with the EU are difficult, just wait for the negotiations with Scotland. Should North Sea oil income be split per capita or geographically based on fishing rights? Should responsibility for servicing the UK's national debt be assigned based on relative national incomes or population? Then there are currency agreements. One might think that this is not an issue for international negotiations. Many will assume that an independent Scotland should have its own currency managed by its own central bank. However, another recent poll found out that 40% of Scots consider themselves less likely to vote for independence if that means replacing the pound. Admittedly, the survey was commissioned by a pro-British lobby in Scotland in the Union. Still, the result is an indication of the discomfort of many Scots and their feeling when they give up the pound for an uncertain successor. A decade ago, the independent Scots were looking for a currency union with a hull of Great Britain. Scotland would then continue to receive the lender of last resort services and the reputational benefits of working with the Bank of England. But the UK government quickly got to the heart of the idea. However, this possibility was called into question by Brexit, as an independent Scotland that was already in a monetary union with a country outside the EU would not be able to rejoin the EU. Some have suggested that Scotland create a new currency and peg it tightly to the pound like a currency board. Proponents argue that this agreement would ensure currency stability vis-à-vis Great Britain, but would also allow Scotland to re-enter the EU. After a reasonable period of time, it would replace its currency with the euro. In the meantime, however, Scotland would have no say in the prevailing interest rates in the country. It would not have a lender of last resort. And whether it could qualify for membership in the euro area is unclear. One of the convergence criteria for admission is to keep one's currency stable against the euro for 2 years. And especially at the moment, with what is most probably to come now, would be a good trick to keep the exchange rate stable against the euro while pegging it to the pound. This leaves only the option of a new national currency managed by an independent central bank that sets the policy under a mandate to ensure price stability. As the past few years have shown, the inflation target is in the works at best. With central banks repeatedly failing to achieve their goals, policymakers have been unable to convince the public and investors that their goal is true. In addition, it will be difficult to establish central bank independence in a politically charged environment where all kinds of special interests must already be included on the board of the new company. Still, the combination of central bank independence and inflation target is the least bad alternative. Sweden's experience shows that it can offer currency stability to a small member that has not adopted the euro. This, of course, requires a high level of budgetary discipline, which Sweden, but not yet Scotland, has effectively demonstrated. In any case, instead of membership without a euro as for Sweden, this will probably only be a temporary phase for Scotland, during which it is unlikely that an opt-out from the euro can be negotiated. However, this shouldn't be a deal breaker. Membership in the euro area seems like a safe option given the banking union, the recognition of the European Central Bank's responsibility as the lender of last resort, and the EU's progress in building shared budgetary capacity. The first step in establishing a new Scottish currency will not be easy though. In addition to printing banknotes, there will be a need to reprogram banks' computers and convert corporate and government accounts. ATMs and parking garage pay stations must be retrofitted. It should be remembered that the transition from Europe's legacy currencies to the euro took 2 full years. A credible plan for Scotland would require policymakers to start preparations now. None of this means that independence will not take place. We know all that the Scottish identity is strong. Independence referrals do not only affect the economy, as the British Brexit vote itself clearly shows. However, Scotland needs a plan for a new currency and an independent central bank, as well as a blueprint for the later transition to the euro. This would go a long way in reassuring Scots who yearn for independence but are concerned about what will follow the pound. And if you now want to know more about European or global politics, YouTube has chosen another of my videos right here for you. And if you want to have a look on my new channel, it's right there. I'll see you in my next video. Click and enjoy. Viel Spaß!